Go to school, get a job, get married, have children, grow old together, and die. What a farce reality they had me living for a little under 30 years. And I don't know about you, but I have not been nourishing my body, mind, and soul with the substance that it needs to lead the life that I really want to lead. I mean, I've come to realize that the decisions I make for my body, mind, and soul will actually influence the life that I lead. And maybe that's not your reality and you're not thinking about health right now, but you're intrigued by this intro. So stay and come reason with Ash Healthy Lifestyle. Alright, so I know I'm laughing, but this is a serious question. Who told my brain, my mind, that it is on a race track? Like, I get frustrated so many times when I can't get it to shut up so that I can get a good night's rest. And I thought that it's best that we have a discussion about how to settle, calm, how to calm a racing mind while preparing a delicious pot of red pea soup with pigtail. And of course, I'm helped, or let me just say, I know me cook it. My mom prepared this dish and it was so fun for us to put this together. And I told you, I'm not going to be doing the traditional podcast style. So while we're talking about how to quiet, how to be mindful, we'll be discussing red pea soup. And I'm going to be speaking about a topic outside of my areas of expertise. I'm going to bring in the experts. So of course, I'm joined by my therapist of more than 2 years. Like, I feel good that I can say that I have been going to therapy for over 2 years. And it is with the illustrious, the warm, the understanding, the knowledgeable, the frank Jhanille Brooks. She's a counselling psychologist, and I don't want to say my best friend because I don't think your therapist should be a best friend, but she comes really close. Here's Jhanille. So,
about soup?
Yes. Do you like soup?
Okay, all right.
Do you? If you don't, that's fine.
I only tend to drink soup when I'm sick or my stomach hurting me.
Okay, and if you're drinking soup, which soup? Chicken noodle soup?
Red peas with pigtail.
That is exactly what I'm preparing. That's exactly what I'm preparing. What you like about the red peas and pigtail soup?
The pigtail.
Me too. All right, so back to this now. So how can women be, and I have been practicing it with meditation, but for somebody who have no clue as to how meditation can be valuable for them, what is one simple technique to stay present in a particular moment or just focus on one task?
Like I mentioned before, multitasking is a myth. I know that it is tempting to do or want to do multiple things at a time because we think that we're being more productive, but single tasking is actually more productive. Just doing one thing at a time and concentrating all your efforts and attention to that. So I think that's a good place to start. Just doing one thing at a time and only that one thing.
And if you feel the urge, because I can attest to it, I may be cooking, right? And I am cooking, I'm trying to focus on the pot, but my mind is racing. And for me, what I have to do breathing exercises to say, okay, come back to the present. Or I learned recently that I could also literally slow down what I am doing.
Slowing down is also very important. We are once again tempted to live in this kind of fast-paced go kind of thing. And that also, yes, I know there demands and bills and many things competing, but the going quickly oftentimes leads to a feeling of anxiety or panic because you feel like everything has to be done right now. And I think when you said slow down, I think that's also important too. Just slow down. Like, if you're late, you're already late, right? You of course you don't want to be like super late, so you'll try to rush, yes, but you're already late already, not true? Like, just choosing to slow down takes that pressure and that anxiety away from a situation.
That's true. That is true. All right. So okay, we have gotten through one task, but say for instance, we're in a situation where it may call for us to multitask. We are getting our children ready for school, but we're on a work call that has to do with a work objective later in the day. And you find your mind going all over the place again, and then here you are, maybe you make a mistake with the child and child start crying. How do you navigate that? Yeah, that's something very common, especially now, for me with my daughter, being a mommy and a working mommy.
The demands are there, right? So we cannot not have them. So it's a little ticklish because I know that, like, in a situation like that, it's not like you could not get her ready for school, and it's not like you could not be on the call. So I think what's coming to me is the need for putting systems in place so that we alleviate some of the stress that we have to go through in the day-to-day responsibilities of work and parenting, etc. Put systems in place so that things do not feel as rushed, things do not feel to always be happening at the same time. Now, I know that's not always feasible, and I know it will be dependent on everybody's situation, but I think having a systems approach is very important because that gives us more structure and increases the likelihood of things going at a pace that we can manage.
And when you say systems in place, as in, if I'm going to get my child ready, I cannot take calls at a particular time of day. Are you saying?
Well, I mean,
that's what you mean?
It would depend. But for example, all right, so you would know what time, the child has to go to school, for example. And you will also know if that conflicts with when work starts or not. So, if it is within your power not to schedule early morning meetings, then you can put that system in place. If the system in place is that first thing that happens after waking up, etc., is getting ready so that at least that's out of the way. Getting ready and then breakfast. So then maybe she's eating breakfast while you're on the call. So that's a little easier to navigate than trying to brush hair and brush teeth and water. You know what I mean? So things like that where you can shift things to make them more structured and less stressful. And I said, depends on everybody's situation. I know that not all situations will call for that, right? But I think looking at the whole thing in terms of, okay, what needs to be done day to day for these various facets of my life? Where can I ask for support from family and friends for certain things? Where can I delegate as it relates to work things? You know what I mean? So taking a holistic view of your life and your responsibilities to try and put everything in a systematic fashion. Of course, knowing that life happens, especially with kids, you can plan and then just do their own thing, or their stick or their whatever. But for the most part, if you can keep things as consistent as possible within your control, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, which part of the soup you prefer? The dumpling or the yam? Which one are you having? Anyone first?
I don't like dumpling.
You don't like dumpling?
I don't like boiled dumpling.
Okay,
And
you
I
like
only
fried
like white.
dumpling.
Yeah, and I only like white yam. I mean, if the yam in the soup and I'm really, really hungry, I'll eat it. But other than that, I usually take out the yam and the dumpling.
So no yellow yam.
I don't really fancy it, no.
And are you putting chocho in the soup? No? What about spiciness? Because not many, there are some Jamaicans who like a spicy soup, but there are some who don't. All right, with 5 being very, very hot and 1 being not, like I can just taste it, how hot is your red pea soup?
Like in the middle.
In the middle. Because
with red peas, I would prefer that the saltiness of the pigtail is what is the flavor that stands out.
Okay. And what about other, do you put anything unusual in the soup? You know, like some Jamaicans like to experiment.
Not with soup. No, not with red pea soup. I think sometimes the few times that I've made it, because I will purchase more than cook the soup. But there was a couple times where I was trying to get the recipe right and it was very thin. So because I like Miss Birdie crackers, I crushed up some Miss Birdie, like, you know, crush it and almost like breadcrumbs and put it in to make it more thick. So I don't know if that's unique or. And
what happened? What did it?
It did get more. Yeah, it got thicker.
Wow, I've never tried that before. I feel like I want to try it.
I don't know if it's a thing, but I don't know. I just tried it and it worked. So.
And how was the taste?
It was good. I think the birdie made it a little bit saltier, because, you know, Miss Birdie kind of salt sometimes, but it worked. Served the purpose.
And are you drinking a big bowl or just a small cup?
Medium. I personally do not think that I don't think soup is a meal, personally. Soup is an appetizer or a stopgap. You know, you're going to eat like an hour later.
So you don't believe in Saturday soup?
No. As a meal, no. I'm hungry after. Soup is the boss of gas. It's not a meal, not to me. Sorry.
Okay. You know, for some traditional Jamaicans, they're like, no, Saturday soup. Right. No, for still on racing minds, and I can speak for myself. I've been using Headspace, the app, as well as their YouTube channel a lot, especially because they have a lot of guided meditations on it. For somebody who may want to explore using meditation as a what you call it, a tool or technique to manage their anxiety, but they're not new, they're not, how should I say, they're not so familiar with this whole concept of meditation. How should they approach it? What is the approach? Is there a best approach? Is there a right way to do it? Is there a wrong way to do it? What's the mindset?
I would say the wrong way, if we're supposed to look at it like that, to do it would be to go in with the intent of slowing down your thoughts. So it sounds counterintuitive, because for many people, that's the reason why meditation might seem attractive. One of the goals of meditation, or mindful meditation, right? Because you have different kinds of meditation, but mindful meditation is more like choosing to take a bird's eye view of your mind. So even though it may be racing, it's like almost like you're sitting on, you know, like how in the States or even out here, sometimes you have the highways and you have the overhead bridge. It's almost like sitting on the overhead bridge and looking down at all the traffic passing by. You know, sometimes there's traffic, sometimes all the cars going fast, sometimes there's nothing. It's the same thing with the thoughts in our mind. Sometimes they're racing, sometimes there's nothing, sometimes there's randomness in our thought patterns, and you are just kind of sitting there in meditation looking at that, not engaging with any particular thought, just doing that, right? But through the deep breathing, that should help to slow the racing thoughts, because that's going to activate our parasympathetic nervous system. We're going to feel calmer and more relaxed after a while, and that's literal biology. So the two work hand in hand, but I think if you go in with the idea that, okay, my mind is racing, I gotta slow it down, that kind of puts a pressure on the experience, and it can lead to more racing thoughts. So I think if you look at it from a observer's point of view, I'm just looking at my mind, I'm curious as to what's going on in this mind of mine. The thoughts might slow as a result, but not to go in with that intention, especially if you're building a practice out of it. People generally like to feel in control of everything, but we really are not. Going with the flow, flexibility, being able to roll with, you know, hard times as they come, knowing that everything has a season, so it can't last forever. So I think just having that view of life, of just the complexity of life, but the beauty of life at the same time, is that there's going to be sour and sweet. So when the sour come, you deal with it knowing that it not going to last forever. I know that sounds kind of hairy-fairy, but that's what I'll say.
It's not hairy-fairy at all. It's...
Oh.
Taste good? Taste good?